Steve Pearce there. Now a very wet and windblown Anne Barker, our reporter, is braving conditions on the streets of Sydney. Anne, good morning. So exactly where are you and what's it been like this morning?
Joe, right now we're at Sydenham, just near Sydney Airport, and this is the Princes Highway behind me, where you can just see a power pole that came down earlier this morning in the winds that are still, I would say, gale force. I mean, the SES, the Weather Bureau, was saying that at times we're getting gusts of 135 kilometres an hour, which is actually verging on cyclonic here in Sydney. Now, this is not obviously the worst of it, even though right across Sydney there are houses, dealing with roofs and trees that have come down and so on. The Parramatta ferry weir apparently has been quite flooded. There are ferries and trains that have been stopped, certainly between Sydney and Newcastle and the Hunter region. But the worst of it, as we heard, was in that Hunter region, where there's apparently a caravan park that has been just almost washed away. There's apparently one man still missing up there, and as we heard, 2 people that have been rescued, but the woman who's been rescued apparently is in a critical condition. As I said, this is right next to Sydney Airport, so it's very loud at the moment.
Yeah, and you're on it's usually a very busy road, isn't it? And basically there's no traffic there this morning. Is that the case? And what's happening on the Sydney roads this morning?
Yeah, the Princes Highway here has been closed for a couple of hours at least, if not more, and they're basically diverting traffic. So there's very thick traffic, it's very congested and slow, sort of being detoured through the streets around here. There are crews here at the moment from the SES who are trying to restore power. They've come in and they're connecting new wires, and then they'll have to put a new pole in, or at least somehow repair the pole that's there right now. I mean, I must say, even earlier there was another pole that looked like it could have come down at any moment. So the gale, these winds are just not abating, even though it's not raining terribly heavily at the moment.
And it's expected to stay like that for the rest of the day, at least in Sydney. Is that the case?
We're hearing that, in fact, it could get worse, that there were 170 to 180,000 homes between here and the Hunter region that are without power. We're hearing that it could be tomorrow before power is restored to a lot of those houses, simply because the conditions are making it very hard for SES crews to get out to respond to some of the calls that they're getting. As the conditions get worse, they're getting more calls, but they're finding it harder to deal with them.
Okay, Anne Barker there, a very wet Anne Barker reporting from the streets of Sydney.